Sup guys, it's Alex here, and welcome to the 2019 NCAA Tournament Coin Flip Bracket. I am so freaking excited for it. This was one of my most popular videos last year. I think, the video got like almost 45,000 views, which is crazy to see. We had a 16 seed in the Elite Eight last year. This is one of the most fun videos on my channel to make, and I'm going to have a lot of fun making it again this time around. This 2019 tournament, if you have not checked out my actual predictions video, make sure you go do that right now. I think it has like 18,000 views as of like 2:02 p.m. or whatever the day after. It hasn't even been up for a day, but it's been killing it, so I can't thank you guys enough for all the support on that video. But I know what you guys are here for. I know you guys are here for the coin flip video, so why not go ahead and get right into it? And before I get right into it, let me just go ahead and go over what the coin flip is. I flip a coin on Google, and then whatever the higher seed is, or no, the team on top is heads. If it lands on heads, like for Duke and North Dakota State and NC Central, if it lands on heads, putting Duke forward. If it lands on tails, I'm putting in North Dakota State forward. And then, so say, like if North Dakota State wins and face UCF and VCU, even though they're the higher seed, since they would be on top, they would be heads to move on and stuff like that. So that's just a quick little thing about how the coin flip will work. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So first up, we have this Duke, North Dakota State, and NC Central matchup. First up, we have a 16 seed winning. We have North Dakota State and NC Central moving on. Duke gets upset in the first round. Last year, we had UMBC beat Virginia in this first region in real life. But next up, we'll have VCU and UCF. And we have tails. We have UCF winning. I don't want to ruin all these upsets on these like 8 and 9 games. Next up, we have Mississippi State and Liberty. We have Liberty. Wow, 3 tails in a row. Upset city. Next up, we have Virginia Tech and St. Louis. I think Virginia Tech's probably going to get the dub here. Heads, yep. First heads of the challenge, but oh well. Next up, we have Maryland and the winner of Belmont and Temple. I think Belmont would win that in real life. But up here in the coin flip, we have Belmont and Temple winning that again. Another high seed winning the 11 seed. Next up, we have LSU and Yale. I figure LSU will probably win just based off of trying to get this back to 50-50. But it is Yale with tails. Yeah, rhyming accidentally right there. We have Yale moving on as the 14 seed. Next up, we have Louisville and Minnesota. Who will we have moving on here? Will we have heads? We do have heads. Our second high seed, or low seed, whatever you want to call it. Moving on, Michigan State and Bradley. Will we see another huge upset? We do. We have Bradley moving on as the 15 seed. The highest seed that can come out of this top left bracket is the 4 seed Virginia Tech, but it is highly likely that we'll have a double-digit seed. I'd love to see a 15 or 16 moving on right there, but next up, we'll just go ahead and go down here to the West Regional. Gonzaga and the winner of Fairleigh Dickinson and Prairie View A&M. We have another 16 moving on. 2 out of 2 16 seeds so far are moving on. Next up, we have Syracuse and Baylor, who will be moving on. We have Baylor. Wow, there's a whole lot of upsets going on. I don't really know what's going on here. Next up, we have Marquette and Murray State, and it will be Marquette. We have the 5 seed moving on. Right now, they're the highest seed right now. Then we have Florida State and Vermont. Hopefully, Florida State will win this. I don't want to... Whoops, I didn't mean to put like games and toys right there. Tails, we have Vermont moving on. All these higher or lower seeds, I'm going to get mixed up and stuff like that. Buffalo and Arizona State / St. John's. Don't really know who's going to win that one in real life, but we'll see what happens. Heads, we have Buffalo moving on. Then we have Texas Tech and Northern Kentucky. We'll see who's moving on here. We have heads. We have Texas Tech moving on. Our highest seed so far with a 3. Next up, we have Nevada and Florida. Nevada's probably going to win this one with the heads. Yeah. Oh, tails. We got Florida moving on, the 10 seed. And then Michigan and Montana. Will we have our first 2 seed moving on to the next round? We do. We have Michigan beating Montana. Then we'll go over here to the Midwest, just kind of go around the bracket, so to say. First up, we have North Carolina and Iona. Will we have a 16 seed? We will. 3 out of 3 16 seeds are moving on. This bracket's probably going to be at the lowest out of all my brackets on that subscriber group. Make sure you join that subscriber group. A video will be coming out in just a minute on that from the time you're seeing this. Utah State and Washington. We have Utah State moving on. Then we have Auburn and New Mexico State. I figure Auburn will probably win this, but it's completely random. The coin flip, yeah, Auburn's winning that one. Then we have Kansas and Northeastern. I'd love to see Northeastern pull off the upset in real life and they will not on here. We have Kansas winning that one. Next up, we have Iowa State and Ohio State. We'll see who gets the dub here. It is Ohio State, the 11 seed moving on. Houston and Georgia State. We'll see if another 14's moving on. Will we have another higher seed? We will not. We have Houston moving on as the 3 seed there. Wofford and Seton Hall. I think this one will probably be one of the best games, if not the best game of the first round. We have Seton Hall moving on there. And then my Kentucky Wildcats. I'm so nervous right here. I really want Kentucky to move on. They're my favorite team. Go Big Blue. But we will have Abilene Christian moving on. No. 2 out of 3 15 seeds are moving on. Poor Kentucky. Then we go back up here to the top right regional. Almost done with the first round. I know this has been taking forever. First up, we have Virginia and Gardner-Webb. All 16 seeds are moving on. Holy crap. We got another tails. No number 1 seeds are moving on to the second round. 4 number 16 seeds are moving on. Heads, we have the 8 seed Ole Miss Rebels moving on. Wisconsin and Oregon, the 5 and the 12. Who we have moving on here? We have heads, which means Wisconsin is moving on. Then we have Kansas State and UC Irvine. Kansas State might have Dean Wade back in time for the tournament. I'm not so sure about that. We have UC Irvine moving on. Another upset pick. Villanova and St. Mary's. I'm going to be really interested to see who wins this bracket now that no number 1 seeds are there. We have another upset in St. Mary's. Purdue, Old Dominion. Let's see who gets the dub. We have Old Dominion. Wow, what is going on with all these tails? And then we have the final 2 matchups of the first round. We have Cincinnati and Iowa. First up, we have Iowa with the 10/7. And then the final matchup of the first round, Tennessee and Colgate. Will we see another 15 seed? We do. 7 out of the 8 worst teams are moving on. Montana is the only 15 or 16 seed that lost based off of this coin flip. Well, let's see who's moving on to the Sweet 16. And here's where the heads and tails kind of comes into play. Heads will be the 16 seed since they are on top. So let's go ahead, do another coin flip. Will we see heads? Will we see a 16 in the Sweet 16? We will not. We have UCF moving on. Liberty and Virginia Tech. Will we have a 12 moving on? We do. We have 12-seeded Liberty moving on. Now the highest seed that can appear is the 7-seed Louisville. We'll kind of are coming out of this region. And next up we have heads. So we have Belmont and Temple moving on there. Then Louisville and Bradley. Will we have a 7 or a 15 in the Sweet 16? We have the 7-seed Louisville Cardinals. Then down here in the West Regional, Fairleigh Dickinson / Prairie View A&M, and I think that was Baylor. We have Baylor moving on. Yep, another 9/16. Now only 2 16 seeds are still alive. Marquette and Vermont. Let's see who's moving on. We have Vermont, the 13 seed moving on. Buffalo and Texas Tech. This one was a little bracket or cluster, whatever pod, whatever you want to call it. We have Buffalo moving on, so we will not see a 3 seed. Will the 2 seed get knocked out? Will we have another higher seed going into the Sweet 16? We do. We have the 10 seed Florida Gators moving on. Now the highest seed that will come out of here is a 6. Then we're moving on over here. Iona and Utah State. Will we see Iona moving on a 16 seed? We will not. We have Utah State. Come on, I really want to see a 16 seed in there. Then Auburn and Kansas. Will we have a 5 or a 4 moving on to the Sweet 16? We will have the 4 seed Kansas Jayhawks. Ohio State and Houston. I'd love to see Ohio State move on right here. I just want to see all the bad teams move on. We have Ohio State moving on. Then the 10 seed Seton Hall Pirates against the 15 seed Abilene Christian Wildcats. Come on, Abilene Christian. We have Seton Hall moving on. I really want to see these high seeds. We might not have a 15 or a 16 seed. Come on, this top right region. First up, we have Gardner-Webb and Ole Miss. Will we see Gardner-Webb? I want to see heads. We got heads. We got Gardner-Webb moving on to the Sweet 16. Wisconsin and UC Irvine up next. Come on, UC Irvine. Let's see a tails. We got heads. We got Wisconsin moving on. St. Mary's and Old Dominion. 11 versus 14, a double digit is guaranteed to be in the Sweet 16. We have the 14 seed Old Dominion. The next up, Iowa and Colgate. Let's have the 15 seed move on. Let's see another tails. We're having so many tails. It's going to be heads, so we got Iowa moving on. So then first spot in the Elite 8, UCF and Liberty. Let's see tails. Let's see Liberty move on. I want to see a double-digit team. We have UCF moving on. Now I really want to see Belmont moving on. I really don't want to see Louisville in the Elite 8 as a Kentucky fan. We have Louisville moving on. 7 and a 9 seed moving on right there. And then I'll just go ahead and do this one. Gardner-Webb, Wisconsin. Let's see heads. Let's see Gardner-Webb moving on to the Elite Eight. Dang it, we have Wisconsin moving on. All the 16 seeds are gone. Next up, we have Old Dominion and Iowa. I want to see a heads here. I want to see Old Dominion move on as the 14. We see Old Dominion move on as the 14 seed. Then down here, oh, hopefully I didn't pick one of them. Okay, yeah, we're good right there. Next up, we have Baylor and Vermont. Really want to see tails right here in Vermont move on. Let's see who gets the dub. It will be Vermont as the 13 seed. Then we have Buffalo and Florida. Kind of want to see Florida to guarantee a double-digit seed. We have Florida moving on. We are guaranteed a double-digit seed out of there. Utah State and Kansas. Let's see who's moving on there. Come on, Utah State. We have Kansas moving on as the 4 seed, so they're the highest seed remaining right now. Ohio State and Seton Hall. 11 versus 10. We have the 10 seed Seton Hall Pirates moving on. So then we'll go up here for a spot in the Final Four. UCF and Louisville. Let's see who's moving on to the Final Four. We have the 9 seed UCF Knights moving on. Then Wisconsin and Old Dominion. Come on, I want to see tails. I want to see a 14 seed in the Final Four. Yes, we will have a 14 seed in the Final Four. Old Dominion. Let's go. Let's make a 13 seed go to the Final Four. Vermont and Florida. Who will we have? We have Vermont going on 13 and 14. I really want to see that in the championship game. Kansas, Seton Hall, 4 seed versus 10 seed. We will have a 10 seed in the Final Four, so all double-digit seeds. I misspoke. We have UCF. So we have a 9, a 10, a 13, and a 14. Who's moving on to the national championship game? UCF and Vermont. Tails for Vermont. We get tails for Vermont. 13 seed in the championship game. Old Dominion, Seton Hall. Let's see a heads right here. Let's get Old Dominion. Dang it, tails, but I'm okay with that. Seton Hall is a 10 seed. 13 seed Vermont. Heads for Vermont. Tails for Seton Hall. Who is going to win the national championship game? We have heads. We have the 13 seed Vermont Catamounts winning it all. What a crazy coin flip. Holy crap. A 13 seed winning it all. Almost all double digits in the Final Four. Man, that was so fun to create. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure you leave your reactions and stuff like that in the comment section below. Let's get this year's video to 50,000 views. I honestly don't know if that's going to happen or not. We'll see. But man, that was so fun to make. 13 seed Vermont winning it all. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you all later.